How's it going, YouTube? Tyler the Hotshot Hauler here, making another video for you all about what is hotshot trucking. So I wanted to make this video for you all because I love hotshotting. I haven't been doing it very long, but I wanted to put some information out there for anybody that's maybe thinking about hotshotting. Let me give you this video. This is all about what is hotshot trucking and some of the great things about it, some of the bad things about it, stuff like that. But I wanted to do a video for you all about it because I think it's a profession that a lot of people don't know about and something that maybe a lot of people would enjoy. Okay. So, first off, hotshot trucking, um, at the simplest form, is essentially moving freight from point A to point B, just like a semi truck, but you're moving it with a pickup sized truck and a much smaller trailer. Those trailers can range anywhere from a flatbed trailer like me to car haulers to enclosed trailers. There's all kinds of hotshot type trailers, but the most common is either car hauler hotshotters or flatbed hotshotters like myself. And your truck ranges anywhere from a 3/4 ton truck with a single rear wheel, usually up to about, I think the 550 is usually about the biggest I've seen for a hot shotter. I guess what you classify as a hot shotter. But most people either have 3/4 tons or 1 ton dualies for hot shotting. Now, how did hot shotting begin? Well, hot shotting began back in the day when the oil fields were big, and they needed to get parts from the factories to the oil fields. They couldn't find enough semis, and a lot of times the semis couldn't even get to where they needed to drop the cargo because of the off road and the terrain. So guys in their pickup trucks and trailers were like, "Hey, if you're going to pay me to do it, I'll go ahead and get all my buddies in our trucks and we'll go ahead and deliver stuff." That's how the term hotshot. That's where it came from. Was that. Now, a lot of people mistake hotshot trucking for being expedited delivery. That is not true. Now, a lot of hot shotting is expedited. Now, I've had loads that are expedited. I'm not going to say it's not, but a lot of people mistake that thinking that it means like they need this there like yesterday, which is true some of the time. But hot shotting is basically just like how I just explained it. Okay, now there is expedited loads. My load I did last week was expedited. I actually had an escort for the load, which was actually pretty cool. Um, but that is hotshot trucking. So now let's move on. Let's talk about the pros and cons of hotshot trucking. First off, if you work for yourself like me as an owner operator, you work for yourself. So completely for yourself. Yes, you have to deal with all your own bookkeeping, all that stuff. You are completely your own boss and you can just do nothing, but you can either stay steady or you can grow. You can lease people under you. There is so much avenues for path of what you can do to make more money if you choose to, or if you want to stay smaller like me. Because a lot of times guys will chase greed thinking that it's going to make them more money, and in the long run, it actually puts them out of business. That happens to a lot of hot shotters trying to get greedy. So be aware with that. But the thing I love about hot shotting is you can grow it and you can make it however big or small you want. You can work however much or how little you want. So I usually work 3 to 4 days a week. For the most part, I'm kind of like a regional hot shotter. Every now and then, I will take a long distance trip across many states. If I'm feeling like I need to change scenery, I'll take it somewhere. But that's what I love. I sit here at my kitchen table drinking coffee when I don't have a load, and I wait for a good load to pop up that I want, and I call and hopefully I get it and don't get beat by other hot shotters or semi truck drivers trying to fill their trailers. And I go where the freight takes me. You know, it takes me across the nation, maybe just in the same state. It's great. It gives you flexibility. That's one thing I love about hotshot trucking. Okay. Another thing is your cost per mile is a lot less. I just made an updated cost per mile video. Feel free to watch it if you would like. But your cost per mile, your operating costs as a hot shotter range anywhere from on the low end, maybe $1.20 a mile, to the high end, maybe about $2.20 a mile. And that's something that's all in that video. Whereas with a semi, usually your minimum is like $3 a mile up to $5, $6 a mile, especially right now with fuel costs and stuff. So that's nice. You know, it gives you the ability, you have a lot less overhead, and a lot less risk to get into it. And a lot of hotshotters, unfortunately, do find out by about the 90-day mark that hotshotting is not for them. That's something I'm going to tell you right now. Before you go off and spend $100,000 plus, $100,000, $150,000, it might be a smart idea to Either have good justification for buying the equipment you're buying, or maybe try to get a job with somebody else. But usually for that, you have to have a CDL, and that's why a lot of guys become hot shotters. Like me, I became a hot shotter because I didn't want to get my CDL. I didn't want to deal with it. There's a lot more stuff with it in hot shotting. I'm not going to get into that, but there's a lot more stuff you have to follow. Granted, there's a lot more perks and stuff like that as well, like more money, bigger trucks, bigger trailers, more overhead costs. Though there's pros and cons to everything. So for me, I only know experience as an under CDL hot shotter, and a lot of people told me when I started. A lot of videos out there on YouTube said that people would say, "Oh, as an under CDL hot shotter, you're not going to make any money." Well, let me tell you, I'll tell you that couldn't be more wrong in the world. I make plenty of money. And like I said earlier, I work 3 to 4 days a week. It's rare that I actually work 5 days. Granted, I'm talking on the road. As an owner operator, I actually probably work about 5 to 6 days a week, dealing with bookkeeping, maintenance, all that stuff. So as an owner operator, you are actually going to work more than you are at a civil at a when you're working for somebody else. You are going to work more, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I or trade it for the world. Excuse me. I wouldn't trade it for the world because it's nice. I get to work for myself. I get to work when I want. Like I've been on vacation basically. I've only worked 2 days this whole month. I've been on vacation almost the whole month dealing with stuff around the house. Granted, yes, that cost me money not running, but it is nice to have that freedom. Okay, that's what I love about hot shotting. Some of the cons, though, okay, some of the cons are first and foremost dealing with government all the time is a pain in the ass. Dealing with DOT is not a good time. Dealing with inspections, dealing with meeting the requirements, the legal requirements can sometimes be a pain in the butt, and a lot of them have a really lack of clarification. Um, Being away from home. This is a big thing where a lot of hot shotters cave. Their families, some guys they go out, they buy, like I said, $150,000 worth of equipment, and they have to pay for that. They don't just own it; they are making payments. So not only are they paying for the expensive equipment, they're paying interest, and so they're on the road all the time trying to stay afloat. And a lot of them don't make it past 90 days, and that's something I'm going to be making another video right about after this one about 90 days. The first 90 days as a hot shotter, I will tell you, you might as well just get your authority and don't do any runs. Get the minimum insurance and sit on your hands, because the first 90 days as a hot shotter are miserable. It is so hard to get freight. Your first 30 days are even worse, but your first 90 days are horrible. And I didn't know this until I drove all the way to Texas, multiple states away, and I couldn't get freight home. I sat there for 2 days almost trying to get a load, and nobody would give me a load because my authority was too new. I ended up finally catching a load to New Mexico, which got me a little bit closer to home, and I had to deadhead home the rest of the way. Um, the first 90 days are brutal, and unfortunately, a lot of guys find that out. Like a big con, I would say the first 90 days are really, you don't make money. It's just expense. It's getting disappointed. It's getting frustrated, learning a lot of mistakes. The first 90 days are terrible. That is a huge con. Is if you can make it, if you can survive the first 90 days, though, it's a lot easier. But the first 90 days itself is a con. Um, but the big con is being away from home. And if you don't know how to do maintenance on trucks and trailers, you might want to learn, because it's expensive to take it places, and you're going to burn through miles. You're going to burn through trucks quick. It's expensive. But and dealing with brokers, worried about being scammed, all kinds of stuff like that. There is a lot of cons out there to hot shotting, and it's something that no matter how long you've been in the business, sometimes you still get screwed. You still get scammed. You still get double brokered loads. You still get loads where you drive 2 hours to show up and somebody already took the load because they told you, oh yeah, the load's yours, but you got scammed. It happens. And unfortunately, it is the nature of the business. There's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons, like with anything in life. But being able to work for yourself, if you have your own authority, you work for yourself. If you lease under somebody, which is what a lot of guys do to help their starting costs, makes it easier to get freight, obviously, because you're under their MC, not yours. So you're going to still work for somebody, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door. There's a lot of flexibility with not only getting into it, but how to expand once you're in it, and how to not only grow, but how to succeed. The options are limitless. It's just a matter of putting in the work, and that's something that I love. Is a lot of places where you work, you put in all kinds of extra work and get no reward, and the people that do nothing get all the reward. Well, in this, if you don't do anything, you're gonna fail. But if you put in all this effort, your odds of succeeding are astronomical. Granted, there's a lot of stuff you can't control, like road conditions, bad brokers, accidents. I mean, there's a lot of some stuff you can't control. But if you do your best, I will tell you your odds of succeeding in this, if you're willing to put in the work and realize that you're going to be away from home. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to be away from home. Some guys are away from home for weeks on end, depending how you do it. Me, I do it. I'm usually not away from home for more than 3 nights. It's rare, 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 rare. But that is what I choose. And yes, I don't make the most money in the world, but I make enough money having fun doing what I'm doing, and I make enough money for me. So, but I will tell you, if you chase greed in this field, like what a lot of guys do, you're going to go out of business. It's been happening like crazy in 2022. Guys who have been chasing greed for years are going belly up because times are changing, everything's changing. And I will tell you, don't chase greed. Be smart with business, and dollar signs are not always the answer, okay? But overall, guys, that is what Hotshot Trucking is. Any comments, questions, anything like that, don't hesitate to ask. I love Hotshot Trucking. I'll gladly answer any questions you have. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and always take care. Thank you.